We'll move on now to Paulette. Paulette is listening this morning. And Paulette, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you this morning, Russell?
Oh, all the better for speaking to you. Now, listen, what's on your mind today?
Well, actually, this is just a little type of an announcement here this morning. And I'm just calling, and well, actually, first of all, I will explain that I'm a member of Protect NL, which is a very active group, approximately 3,000 people right now, of people who are very concerned about the proposed wind turbine farms that are coming to Newfoundland, supposedly. And there's been so much secrecy and misinformation regarding these projects, it makes people suspicious. And that's sad because, good or bad, whether you believe in them or support them or not, I think that we have to stick together and ask the government to please enact legislation regarding these projects. And that's more or less to protect us and protect our province.
What kind of legislation would you like to see?
Pardon me?
What kind of legislation are you talking about? What's the legislation that you'd like to see government bring in?
Well, in my research as an individual, I've seen so many negative facts surrounding these projects that I think I'd just like to see them tread very carefully. One point in particular would be the distance of the turbines from the residents in the towns in which they're going to be erected.
Right.
I myself am in central Newfoundland, and I'm in a very small town of Northern Arm, in which 16 turbines of 800 feet high are proposed for this town, and they're supposed to be erected within our boundary. Now, the information that I have, they're very detriment to your health, and if this is the case, we don't need them close to our residents. I think about the Premier of Alberta, and this is just one of many, who has legislation in place that specifically states if there's going to be a turbine erected, they have to be at least a minimum of 35 kilometers from a residence. Because in research, it says that the fallout from these things can be felt as far as 50 kilometers. So, we don't need turbines within 1 or 2 kilometers from our homes.
Well, Paulette, having lived in Alberta, I can tell you that southern Alberta is utterly covered with wind turbines, and you go down certain highways, and my goodness, you see them off in the distance, and there's dozens, hundreds of them that are throughout southern Alberta, and they're off in the hills. They're not near developments. They're not near people's homes. And Alberta is one of the biggest wind energy producers, if not the biggest wind energy producer in the country.
Well, I have to agree with you there, Russell. First of all, the turbines that are proposed for Newfoundland are the second largest in the world, next to China. So the turbines you're seeing in Alberta are not as large as the ones that are being proposed for here.
Oh, I don't know about that, Paulette. I've been close to them.
According to facts now, that is, Russell, I can only go from what I read. Yeah. The thing about these turbines, too, of course, is that they're not helping this province in any way.
Well, they're not up yet, so it's hard to know what impact they'll have if they're not up.
Yes, that's right. And it seems like even though we live in a democracy and even though people are saying, please listen to us, please enact some legislation here, at least that way you can control how things are being done. But if you give companies the 100% free for all, do what you like, well then it's not going to be done properly, in my estimate. And there's so many, things like wildlife and animals and destruction of the water and the forest, and just the infrastructure of just one turbine has a clear cut of 1 kilometer around it. So that's a lot of destruction.
Well, we've certainly clear-cut a lot of forestry to make way for power lines and telephone lines.
Oh, I agree with you.
Right.
But now Newfoundland is not benefiting from this. This is going to be exported to Germany. And the thing about it is, in a lot of cases, I'm a big supporter of turbines if they're to help in the power a deficit in some places.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a person who wants to cause trouble. I'm just asking that if people feel like I feel, if your listening audience feel the same way I feel, I'd like for them to attend a demonstration that we're holding this Saturday, July 27th at 10:30, and that's going to be held at exit 22 near Route 350. And we're just encouraging people to stand with us and say, please, to the government, please watch what's happening. Don't rush into this. If this is a good thing, it's going to happen. If this is a bad thing, there's going to be a lot of objection. And I think people are just waking up and starting to read some of the things. And, what we're reading is not encouraging. Well, and I'm all for progress and I'm all for jobs, but don't let it fool you. Don't let it fool you.
Paulette, let me just tell you this. When it comes to doing research on the Internet, just because you got Google doesn't mean you know what you're looking at.
I agree with you there, Russell,
right?
100%.
And a lot of times
100%.
If you go looking for negative things, there's a pretty good chance you'll find them. And if you go looking for positive things,
you're going to find what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
I have to agree with you there.
It is pretty fascinating, and you kind of have to be very mindful of what the sources are. And like I said, Alberta has the biggest wind energy grid in the country. And, no one's falling over with disease because they live within 50 kilometers of a windmill, or wind turbine, I should say. You're right. We have to be careful. You can't, as I said at the top of the show, you can't just go around handing out blank checks because someone says they got a green energy idea. We have to do this properly. And people like yourself, you have to be comfortable with what's going on because, the way we're going to produce energy in the future is going to change. It has to. And, we either get on board with this and take control of it, or we're going to be controlled by other people.
You just said what I needed to say this morning.
It only took me 30 seconds.
That's all I'm saying. Tread carefully, and if this is such a good thing, we should be able to get answers.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
Up to this point, there haven't been any. And, letters, emails, protests, no matter what you do, we're not getting answers. So even if you are searching on the Internet, or even if you are asking for these answers to your questions, what is the reason we're not getting them? So, I'm just saying, and, this is a whole other ballgame. I could talk about this all day. I've done so much research, sometimes it keeps me awake at night, but
well, this
I
is
will
it.
say
Sometimes
to you that
we can scare ourselves sometimes into reinforcing the fears that we already have. So, Paulette, listen, I got to run, but thank you for sharing the information about the demonstration. Thank you for your point of view, and I hope we get to talk again very soon. Okay.
Okay, and Russell, thank you for your time, and thank you for your fine statement that you just made this morning. I think we love to hear that.
Thank you, Paulette. You have yourself a tremendous rest of your day.
Okay, so that's this Saturday, July the 27th at 10:30 at exit 22, Route 350 by the overpass. Thank you for your time this morning, Russell.
All the best, Paulette. Thank you for getting in touch with us. And we've got more calls standing by here on your open line. I'm Russell Bowers in for Patty Daly today, and we have got more show coming up right after this here on your VOCM.